Nikolai Volkov had always loved hunting. He was really good at it too. His walls were full of trophies that showed off his skill. He'd learned everything from his dad, who had been taught by his own father before him. As he got older, Nikolai went to college and trained to be a mechanic. But not long after he graduated and started working, he lost his job. With no paycheck coming in, things started to get tough. He had a wife and a young son to care for, and without money, he had no way to put food on the table. At least, that's how it felt, until he remembered all those hunting lessons from his dad. Out of options, Nikolai went back to the forest and started hunting again, this time just to survive. After a few years, he finally found steady work again. But during that rough stretch, his wife chose to leave. She told him she could take care of herself and their son better on her own. Losing her was hard, but losing time with his son was even worse. He and little Leo had grown really close during the months Nikolai was out of work. Leo had even started to show a real interest in hunting. Still, his wife had made up her mind. Soon she and Leo moved to a city, hoping for a fresh start. Over time, Nikolai and his wife worked out a schedule so he could still see his son regularly. Every visit, the two of them would head out into the woods, and Nikolai would keep teaching Leo how to track and hunt. One year, Nikolai decided to go out hunting alone. He walked through the quiet village where he lived, heading down a trail he hadn't taken in years. The route led to the far side of the village and across a small river before reaching the forest. That didn't stop him. He was determined to check it out. When he got to the river, he saw that it had frozen solid in the cold, something he was thankful for. But just as he stepped onto the ice, something on the far bank caught his attention. There was a hole in the ice, and it was pretty big. He stopped in his tracks. What could have made that? Curious, he slowly made his way over. As he got closer, he saw it, a wolf, halfway out of the water. It was clear the poor thing had been stuck for a long time because new ice was already forming around its body. At first, Nikolai couldn't tell if the wolf was alive or not. Its head was resting on the ice, eyes shut tight. But as he got closer, the wolf slowly opened its eyes and looked up at him. Right away, Nikolai could see the animal was barely hanging on, half frozen and completely worn out. For a moment, he just stood there, unsure of what to do. His first thought was to leave it. This was nature, after all, and maybe it wasn't his place to interfere. But just as he turned to walk away, the wolf let out the softest little whine, almost like it was asking for help. That sound stopped him cold. Nikolai couldn't ignore it. Without wasting any more time, he rushed over, grabbed the wolf by the scruff of its neck, and started pulling. It took everything he had. The wolf was heavy on its own, but the icy water soaked into its fur made it feel even heavier. After a long, straining moment, he managed to drag it free from the hole. As soon as it was out, Nikolai let go and backed up quickly, raising his gun just in case the animal turned on him. But the wolf didn't even flinch. It was far too weak to do anything. Even though it was now out of the water, Nikolai didn't think it would last the night on its own. He stood there for a second, unsure. But watching the creature shake and struggle to breathe, he knew he couldn't leave it behind. Slowly, carefully, he walked closer, speaking softly the whole time, just trying to calm it. The wolf's ears twitched. It was listening, and it didn't try to move away. Realizing it wasn't going to fight him, Nikolai gently picked the wolf up and started the walk home. Once inside, he got a strong fire going in the hearth and laid the animal right in front of it. Wanting to help it warm up faster, he even grabbed a blanket and draped it over the wolf. Hours passed, and finally the shaking started to ease. The wolf was still weak, but it seemed a bit more alert now. When it looked like the wolf had enough energy, Nikolai brought it some water and a bit of leftover meat from the fridge. The wolf ate it quickly, not wasting a single bite. Once it was done, it curled up again in front of the fire and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Nikolai was woken by a scratching noise at the front door. He stepped out of his room and saw the wolf was up, walking back and forth, clearly wanting to leave. Seeing how much better it looked, Nikolai knew the animal was ready to go back to the wild. He moved slowly toward the door, speaking softly again, just like before. When he was close enough, he opened it, and the wolf bolted out into the snow. Before it disappeared completely, the wolf stopped, and turned around. For a second, it locked eyes with Nikolai, almost like it was saying, "Thank you." Then it vanished into the trees. Nikolai figured that would be the last he'd ever see of it. Life went back to normal, and he settled into his routine. But a few weeks later, he got a surprise phone call. Leo was coming to visit for a whole week. Nikolai was over the moon. He'd finally get the chance to go winter hunting with his son. As soon as Leo arrived, the two of them packed up their gear and headed straight for the forest. Since he hadn't gotten to explore that trail the last time, Nikolai decided they should go down that same path together now. As the two of them got closer to the frozen river, Leo suddenly spotted something that caught his attention, a set of tracks in the snow. He got excited and wandered off to follow them, calling out that he thought they might belong to a hare. Nikolai let him go a short distance, but kept an eye on him. Then, out of nowhere, there was a loud crack followed by a terrified scream. Nikolai's heart jumped. He dropped everything and sprinted toward the sound, yelling for his son as he ran. When he reached the river, his breath caught in his throat. Leo was halfway in the icy water, clinging to the edge for dear life. But right next to him, to Nikolai's shock, was a wolf. Nikolai froze, hand going to his gun, but before he could lift it, the wolf did something that stopped him cold. It grabbed Leo's jacket with its teeth and started pulling. With the wolf's help, Leo was able to get a grip and scramble out of the water and back onto solid ground. The wolf didn't stick around long. It ran toward the trees, then paused for a second, just before disappearing. Nikolai rushed to his son, wrapped him in his coat, and did everything he could to warm him up. As he looked back toward the edge of the woods, he realized something. The wolf that had just saved his boy was the same one he had rescued not long ago from almost the exact same fate. He looked the animal in the eyes and quietly said, "Thank you." The wolf seemed to understand. Then, just like before, it vanished into the forest. As Nikolai carried his son back home to get him dry and warm again, he made a quiet promise to himself. From that day forward, he would never hunt wolves again. That one wolf had saved his son's life, and he would always be grateful for that. Even if he never saw it again, he'd remember it for the rest of his life. What an incredible story. If it touched you the way it did us, go ahead and like the video, subscribe for more, and share this tale with someone who needs to hear it.
If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.